Hey there, I want to go over a summary of the book that I just read, which is called Built to Sell. I found this book really interesting, especially if you own a marketing agency, because the whole story is based off a marketer. And so the overall story is that this marketer has been working at his marketing agency for 8 years, just like me, so kind of funny. And he basically wants to be able to sell his business, right? He goes to his mentor, and his mentor essentially has like an ideal life. He's sold his company. He has a really good family life, and he has a lot of great attributes that people would want to emulate. And so, what advice does he give him? He says you need to focus on a specific product, and you can't sell services. So, what's the difference between a product and a service, right? A product is something that's repeatable, teachable, and valuable. And so it's the same thing over and over. Somebody wants it, and then you can teach it to somebody else, right? And that's really the key to making it so that you can leave your business at any point and therefore sell the business as well. I learned something really interesting is that, especially for like marketing agencies or any business that relies on the founder, when you sell that kind of company, you do something very specific called a earnout. So it's instead of a buyout, you do an earnout, where you basically have to work in the company and you have to hit certain benchmarks, and then the company essentially, or the investor, the buyer of the business, essentially gets like all the benefit because there are certain benchmarks that you have to hit, or else you don't get paid. So if you hit those benchmarks, they're profitable, right? So they're happy. And then if you don't hit those benchmarks, then you are basically working at the business and not like selling your business, and you don't even get the money for it. So you get a little bit of money up front, but you basically just working at the business like regular over the next couple of years. So it doesn't really make sense to sell that kind of business. And when he was talking about his story, there's a little bit of growing pains as well when you're making this transition. So myself, I am doing a lot of custom work, a lot of per hour work, and I really like to do it because customer it's easy to get customers, right? But the problem is that I have to sit there and do the work, right? And people are they want to work with me, they want to work with my specific intellectual property, and so there's no way for me to scale that. I mean, there are kind of ways, right? Like I guess you could hire like maybe you have like a skill sets that you have, and then you like hire for those specific skill sets with freelancers. That's like possible. Or like the better option that I learned from this book is you essentially just make a single process, and then you use that process over and over to sell to customers. And so um, I think oh, I was saying the growing pains. So when you're doing this process, there is a growing pain of um, you essentially have to give up your customers, right? I think maybe you could hold on to your customers a little bit longer than what they had said. And so he gives the example of like he has this really big banking company that pays him a lot of money. And he essentially says, hey guys, we're going to focus on logo building and we can't work with you anymore. And the bank manager was really disappointed because he was like, hey, I thought we were a special customer. And he said, yeah, you are a special customer, but I have the conviction I have to stick with this and do this logo building. And at first that seems painful, right? Because you're losing the 30,000 per month or whatever that client was making for you. But the idea is that you have a product, and then you've got a like targetable market that you can start to capitalize on, and it's completely different from what you've done before. Plus, it's scalable because you just have people sell it, people buy it, someone else delivers it. It's like a real business, right? It's a real asset. You should think about it as it actually like instead of you just doing work, it actually is valuable, and that's what building to sell means. Is that like you actually get value from it, and somebody would want it. And so the way maybe you could think about it in your business, or the way I'm going to think about it in my business, is right now you might be working in the business, right? You might be doing things, doing activities. Maybe you've even got a team of people who are under you. But what you really want to do is you want to decide, hey, I do this thing really well. For me, it might be I set up go high level accounts, right? Or I set up sales systems, a sales system that gets you happy customers on autopilot, right? And it gets this result, right? And essentially, this is the checklist, or this is the flow chart that we use to be able to do that. If you were like a realtor, for example, you could say, I I am the best person to rent out properties in this town, right? And you're the best. And the reason you're the best is because you follow this specific process you have that you believe is better than other people. Um, then you stick to that product, right? And so you don't do any kind of variation on top of that product. If you want to, out of like fun or something like that, you can, but really the focus should be on actually solving that product issue and making sure that that product is being delivered consistently all the time, like McDonald's, right? Like you always get the burger. People go to Burger University in McDonald's and they learn how to make that burger. And it's not like the owner would have to make every single burger that McDonald's sells. No way, they couldn't build a big business. They would need they need to be very busy, right? And so we don't want to be really busy. We want to build an asset that's valuable. We want to be able to sell the business for a lot of money, or we want to just be able to keep the business and just make money without having to work. And so that is the process that I learned in the book, and I will start using it in my business as well. I've already built products for my business, and so I'm going to continue to work on those. I'm actually delivering it for a few clients right now. It's definitely not, it's all my work right now, but the idea is that it will be teachable once I make training manuals or SOPs or however you want to, put it, systems in place to be able to do that well. So that is what I learned from Build to Sell, and I think it was a very good book. It's a little bit old, to be honest, but I think once you get the idea, once you get the summary, it was very informative and very helpful. So I would recommend reading the book as well because there's like a lot of small details that you might run into as well that the book goes over. Like he goes over like accounting uh, profit loss statements at the end of the year and stuff like that, and how like because he was selling a product, he had to like split it up over certain months, and he wasn't able to or the accountant wasn't able to do the profit loss, and his bonus wasn't he couldn't get a bonus for that year, and and things like that. So there was like very specific details, and it's cool because like every week he like runs into these problems, and then he goes to his mentor and solves the problems, and the mentor basically explains why those problems should be solved and how. So really good book, and yeah, that is what I learned today.